Hey guys, welcome back to CLOWNFISH TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And she's never weighed in on this subject before that I'm aware of.
Patreon? Yeah, I have.
You have on Patreon? And Kickstarter?
Last year.
Okay, last year. So we're going to talk about some shocking, but not shocking developments.
I'm not shocked.
With Patreon and Kickstarter that they're laying people off. And we're also going to talk about other aspects of the comic book industry that we've got retailers fighting each other over a solution to save comics. So the gist of this video is every avenue that people have to sell comics, it's all changing.
I said the gist is everybody wants to be gatekeepers, so they're all fighting each other when they're not allowed to be.
That is probably more accurate. That is. So we've got gatekeeper on gatekeeper action. Hot gatekeeper on gatekeeper action.
I was gonna say Highlander, but okay.
I don't think these gatekeepers, I don't think it'd be very hot. Anyway.
I doubt it very much.
So there's a couple things going on here. Obviously with coronavirus, businesses are taking hits. Now, I am a little surprised because I thought with people being able to work from home, right, logically, that home-based businesses, creative types, they would actually do better individually.
Well, if people don't have money to back your campaigns, or people are just being really, really careful with what they back now because they don't have the extra money, so they're only going to pick things they actually like.
Yeah, there is that. There's also the possibility that people aren't using these platforms because they're tired of the bullshit.
I don't think that's pretty much why. I mean, let's be honest here. Patreon and Kickstarter are like the two biggest. You have to play by our rules, be the right kind of person, believe our kind of politics. If you say anything that we don't like somewhere else, even if it's unrelated, and we find out about it, you're gone kind of places. Yeah,
we talked about that. We're going to talk about like what is going on here. So Patreon has been basically bankrolling webcomics and some YouTube channels for a while, and they had some controversy we talked about in other videos where they were going around and literally like following you around the internet to see what other kind of content or comments you made, and they would kick your ass off the platform if they didn't like you, and a lot of people were getting fed up with it.
Right, and then and Kickstarter frankly was bragging about who they were hiring to be gatekeeping.
Yeah, so real quick, look, Admiral Holdo's the only toy that's on sale. From
Anybody surprised?
Is anybody surprised? So they did this marketing campaign. I did a video on that where they're like, "Get the systems for creative people is broken. Cut the bullshit."
Oh yeah, I remember that, and I was like, "Yeah, they put bullshit and fuck that in their campaign." I'm like,
Yeah, it sounded kind of desperate-ish, and now maybe
sounds kind of unprofessional.
Yeah, and maybe we're seeing why, because even last year, Jack Conte from Patreon, because so many people had left, he said their model was unsustainable. And so fast forward, now we've got this marketing campaign, and now they're laying people off. So 30 employees lost their job. They said it was 13% of the company's staff due to economic difficulties created by COVID. Bullshit.
Was one of the people that got gone the person who had set up those stupid rules in the first place and had that, what was that group that she had? It was her and the people that were going around being like the police of Patreon.
Oh, that was the gal from, she came from PayPal.
What were they calling it?
I forget. It was like the content
I call them the content police.
Content
but
police.
I wonder if they were part of the groups that got...
I don't know, because that would have been the best thing they could do, was to get rid of that person. We're going to talk about gatekeepers over at Kickstarter too, and then we're going to talk about the comic book industry gatekeepers. It's unclear how long this economic uncertainty will last. Therefore, to prepare accordingly, we've made the decision to part ways with 13% of the staff. No, Patreon was already on the decline before this.
Well, I'm reading their little announcement down below, and it's making me laugh so hard, because if this is true, you don't lay off people.
Right. This is what's crazy about it, right? So if everything's fine, because they said, and this is what I knew was going to happen, as soon as everybody got laid off from their day jobs or whatever, they were going to jump to Patreon and Kickstarter, and you'd think there'd be more money coming in. Over the past 6 weeks, Patreon has experienced a significant influx of new creators launching on the platform, along with increased financial support. Okay, so what's the problem?
Yeah, exactly. And if you have all these new people coming in with your lovely, F that marketing campaign, why do you need to lay people off?
Yeah, right.
You need people to run it because there's so many more people coming in March. Oh my God, so many more people, so much more money.
I know. In March, we onboarded 50,000 new creators, and our income was 60% higher. But we're laying people off.
That sounds like to me like it's a lot of bullpucky, and what they're trying to do is get people to think that they're bigger than they are, so everybody jumps on board, so they make more money.
Yeah, that's what's going on here.
The fake it till you make it doesn't work when you're a flipping thing like Patreon.
The business model is not sustainable. This sounds to me like Patreon has to sweet talk some more venture capitalists into giving them money.
Well, it sounds to me like they're trying to sweet talk people into using their platform.
Right.
Because, using a professional marketing thing and saying fuck that and bullshit doesn't always work. Imagine that.
Imagine that. So that's Patreon. So this just happened. Like less than an hour ago, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy. So it's not just Patreon. Kickstarter. Now, I found out about this. Ethan Van Sciver did a live stream last night, and he mentioned it. This should not surprise anybody. What I am surprised about is that the projects have fallen off 35%. That did not happen because of COVID. That is probably because people are leaving the platform.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest here. I don't think Kickstarter has the best reputation out there when it comes to, being fair and unbiased in their campaigns.
Well, they're not. And here's the thing we talked about before in another, I was talking about Kickstarter before, when they changed their business in, let's see, when was that? That
2015?
was 2015, when they reorganized. They basically had a new mandate that they were going to be a public benefit corporation. So they had some guidelines for being good people, being good over profits. And
being good over profits. Okay, come on, let's be honest here. If you're going to Kickstarter because you want to get your stuff done, you're not there because you want to be good. You're there because you want profits.
Right. So they did that. I don't know if it's for tax reasons or what. So that was kind of like blow number one. So they basically could reject any project for any reason after 2015.
What idea was this?
I have no idea. So we saw this in action with Diversity in Comics when he tried to go to Kickstarter, and because they were ass mad about some of his YouTube videos that had absolutely nothing to do with his comic book, they denied him the ability to use Kickstarter. There are other people that have gone to Kickstarter that supposedly do not align politically with Kickstarter, and their stuff, they let it on the platform, but they don't promote it in any way. They hide it.
You know what? What's the point of having it? They hide your campaign. You're not making any money. So here's the thing. Don't use Kickstarter.
That's like the girlfriend or boyfriend you don't take out in public.
The secret one you're hiding,
Secret.
But here's the thing, if that's what they're going to treat you like, that's why people are leaving and they're not using it, which is why they're going under.
And then we had another blow. We had Camilla Zong, who was brought in from, I think, DC with great fanfare to basically curate all of the comics content on Kickstarter. So people are looking at this, and she basically came out and said that she's looking for XYZ kind of comics, and you can only guess what kind of political bent those comics have, and that those are going to be promoted on the platform over other comics.
Well, so they're going to play favorites because it aligns with what her personal, how she identifies or what she likes. And how she identifies, or how, diversity. Pretty much. And they said before, it used to be Kickstarter when it first started, it was basically, we take money. There's a couple misunderstandings. Originally, how Kickstarter was is it's PBS. We take money to support your project, and as a reward, backers may get a physical thing as a reward. And it went from that to becoming sort of like a mail order, at least in the minds of the public. It's like you're ordering a product like Amazon, to then they walked it back and they were a public benefit company, and now they view it as like charitable giving. Like if people give to you after 2015, it's like charitable giving. No, it's not charitable giving, because if it's charitable giving, you wouldn't have to be required to give them stuff.
And that was a 2015 thing too. So this whole thing is like, they don't know what they are. Kickstarter has never known what it is, but they like to prop themselves up as being a publisher now, which they have done, especially with the comic book publications. They're like, Kickstarter is one of the largest publishers of comics.
It's not a publisher. The people use you to get to, you're a middleman to get money. You're not a publisher.
Well, they're not getting enough money because the projects have fallen 35%. Layoffs are planned. Kickstarter unionized last year, over a comic book. It's because they had a comic book out there called Always Punch Yahtzees. Kickstarter's top brass did not want that comic on their platform.
Well, it wouldn't have been fair. They already denied, the platform denied other projects,
right.
You know, they thought were too far one way, and then you turn around and do that. They're right to deny it.
Right, so they didn't want that project on the platform. The employees had a fit.
Oh yeah, because of course they're ones that want a book like that. Are we surprised?
It's based in San Francisco. They love that book. They got the book on the platform. Then that led to the union, but then Kickstarter was union busting at first, and then
this is probably gonna be a union bust right here.
This is what's going to happen. And didn't I say, as soon as they said they were going to unionize, I'm like, oh, they're going to be gone.
Yeah.
They're going to find a way to get rid of them.
Because it's not just about being a union, it's about part of their demands where they get to pick whatever goes on the platform. Well, at that point, I'm not trying to be a dick, but when comics are going down the gutter because the projects that keep getting promoted, no one buys because they're not about good stories, they're about agenda. When you have people in there who are flat out saying they're about agenda, what the hell do you think is going to happen?
Surprise, here we are. And again, you know, with the way things are right now, you would think that projects that people are buying their stuff through Kickstarter or supporting creators through Patreon, you would think it would be exploding and they would actually be looking for more people to bring on.
Well, according to Patreon, it is exploding. But yeah, they're getting rid of people, which makes no sense.
Because it's not. It's all a shell game.
We're gonna bullshit you the whole way around.
So Kickstarter projects fell 35%. Layoffs are planned. In a nutshell, few businesses are safe from COVID. This is not about COVID.
No.
People started leaving Kickstarter long before COVID because Kickstarter is getting really freaking weird. Even the crowdfunding industry is suffering. Kickstarter has seen its number of new projects fall by 35% year over year.
Wait a minute. If it's COVID, why is it year over year?
Why is it year over year? Things don't appear to be getting better anytime soon. As such, the company is discussing ways of busting the union. I mean, saving money, including potential layoffs. An internal memo seen by The Verge, the Kickstarter CEO revealed the drop in new projects, adding that there was no clear sign of rebound.
Because they're all going to Indiegogo.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. A lot of people are going to Indiegogo now, which is so funny. Because Indiegogo, for the longest time, and Indiegogo's been around almost as long as Kickstarter, for the longest time, it was sort of the fallback. If you couldn't push a project through on Kickstarter, you would go to Indiegogo. For whatever reason, either it was, you know, you're out of the country or whatever, you would go to Indiegogo. It was nobody's first choice. And now, lately, with the comic book projects, I can't remember the last time Kickstarter had a 6-figure comic project.
And the reason they're going to Indiegogo is because of Kickstarter's rules and their ridiculousness, and it scared people off. Either they were told no by Kickstarter because they were the wrong kind of people. You could have been doing a book about cute little puppies, but because you dared say something that they deemed as politically bad, even if you weren't saying what they thought you were saying, you were basically told, nope, you can't be on here. I mean, that's what was going on.
Take up a tweet from 10 years ago.
Yeah, so people are going to Indiegogo because they don't have to deal with that kind of shit over there. Sorry, but that's what it is. And if it's not that you didn't personally run into it, you've already heard the horror stories of everybody who has.
Yeah.
Plus, they're not going to promote you unless you're the right kind of person. They flat out said so.
Yeah, and we saw, Kickstarter was getting awfully chummy with the mainstream comic book industry, and you had a lot of the same gatekeepers coming over from mainstream comics to make sure they could control the flow of spice over here on Kickstarter too.
Why do you think they're so pissed that they can't control everything all the time?
Yeah, so there's no clear sign of rebound, so discussions are taking place with Kickstarter's union organizers about potentially laying off staff. This is what's shocking. Of the hundreds of millions of dollars that they push through Kickstarter every year for games and tech and
mostly games are the ones that get this money
games now, yeah. Kickstarter only made $1.27 million in pre-tax profit. Pre-tax profit. And the money's already been reinvested back into the business.
Is that before they pay people, or is that just...
I think that's after expenses, so that probably would include rent and salaries and all that. So they only made $1 million.
That's not good.
Meanwhile, on Indiegogo, there are campaigns, comic book campaigns.
I was gonna say that get $1 million.
That get $1 million. Like one person gets $1 million. They don't have to split it 500 different ways. So some of the cost-cutting measures considered include reducing senior executive salaries, including his own, restricting the number of new hires, not automatically filling newly vacant positions. That means whoever's left is gonna have to work harder. I wonder how the union...
for less money.
I wonder how the union's gonna like that. on cutting the budget wherever we can. But even with the changes, it seems layoffs are going to happen. We have to look more broadly as to ways to restructure the business.
Did you just restructure the business?
They just restructured the business. Maybe Kickstarter, as it is right now, isn't that viable, and you shouldn't be telling people they can't be on your platform.
Yeah. Maybe you shouldn't have made some of the hires you did and the decisions you made.
So it'll be interesting to see if Camilla Zhang is still there. Kickstarter has launched initiatives to try to get more creators to post projects on the site, including the Inside Voices program that encourages small homemade projects.
Oh, I saw that.
That's not going to bring in that much money.
No. We'll get quantity over, quality. And then we'll get a bunch of ones we make a few $100 off of, and then that'll make it up.
This is just nuts. I mean, look, I get, because what's going on here is you're going to get an influx of people that are going to go to these platforms and rattle the tin cup because they've lost their jobs. But if everybody's got their hands out, nobody's actually putting any money into the cups. And the people that have the money probably have political beliefs that are contrary to the ones you find acceptable.
Right, so that, you already told them to get bent, so what difference does it make?
Meanwhile, over on Indiegogo, there are several comic book campaigns right now that have hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm. Because they all went there because of what you guys told them to go get bent previously.
Right, and now Indiegogo, I don't think they're laying off currently. They had, I guess, their CEO left beginning of last year, but I don't think yet they've got anyone leaving. But they do seem to be doing better, at least in regards to comics. I can't say how they are, with other stuff, technology or anything like that. So, speaking of comics, I want to bring this up because yesterday I talked about the comic book industry eating itself alive.
Yep.
And this is all over the haves and have-nots. I think it's the people who can get and sell comics and the people who can't sell comics because they're dead in the water because of all the restrictions in their states. So, Brian Hibbs, who owns several comic book shops in San Francisco, including Gary from Nerdrotic, he owns his own old shop. Brian Hibbs has been making the rounds and complaining that he doesn't like the fact that some people are going to be able to sell new comic books now. That he's very angry at DC for making a deal with these other distributors, and that basically he's pissed off at other retailers who can sell and he can't sell. Of course, he's going to spin it for the good of the entire comic book industry, everybody should tie their legs together in the sack race to make sure they can't win. But now we've got this retailer here, Jesse James Cristioni in Arizona, saying that he's going to sell the hell out of comics because he's not bound by the same rules that New Yorkers in California are.
He looks like he'd sell the hell out of comics.
I would
look at him. He's like, yeah, I'm going to sell the hell out of comics, man.
I would buy comics off of this guy.
He's just like, yeah. He's going to have personality.
Comic books, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I like this guy. So he's under attack for selling comics, he says. So this is what he said. So here's my take on one of my closest friends in the industry's post. We as local comic shops have failed our customers in so many ways. We let our egos get in the way of taking care of them. We've made so many people happy over the decades in selling comics in their time of need. We as store owners have failed to use the opportunities before us to continue to do that. We have failed to unite in any shape or form a sizable, relevant group for the good and future of our industry. No, instead they're a bunch of catty bitches. And that includes the publishers too. They're all fighting each other. I think
all of them are.
And I think Kickstarter and Patreon are a bunch of catty bitches too.
They've all turned. They're all run. Imagine that. They're almost all run by the same people. Who'd have thunk it? It's like high school all over again.
Yeah. So he goes down here and he says, today I no longer can look backwards on my customers. I can only look forward with my friends and local comic shops that want to do something now. The rest of you local comic shop owners can take your negativity and remember the good old days. Today, the new local comic shops are taking care of their customers and really have no more time for you and your posts. I have been on an island by myself before in this industry. Now I sit. That's how we feel.
Yeah, often.
That's how we feel often. We don't belong anywhere.
We really don't fit in anywhere, and it's really sad.
That's why we live on in Clowntown Island.
I live on Bubbleberg.
You live in Bubbleberg. Yeah, it's our Animal Crossing islands. Go check out Clownfish TV Gaming. Now I sit on an island with so many good friends who just want to sell comics to customers around the world. We'll find a way, and we'll always offer to help each other. When this all settles, these customers will remember those that took care of them through their time of need. However, they will remember more those who chose to give them negative negativity and zero comic book therapy. What? We're in a world of now. There's no more hiding in forums or secret groups.
Well, that I agree with. The forum secret groups that they claiming didn't exist?
Yeah, there are a lot of forums and secret groups in comics where all these catty bitches hide.
And you know what? No, when you look at comic books in general and you have stories, who hides in the secrets and the shadows and all that? Not the good guys.
No.
Not usually.
The Legion of Doom. You can choose to be a better local comic shop owner for your customers. You can make the industry come back the greatest of all time.
You can't make the industry come back. That's the one thing. I appreciate the passion, but unless some things change, I don't think it's going to come back. And the reason a lot of comic book shops are failing is because they don't have the customers. Even though I appreciate his enthusiasm.
Yeah, so basically my understanding is he's still going to sell comics. He's going to take advantage of these other distribution channels while people like Brian Hibbs just basically complain that they're not able to. But I do understand, when you're in a state that's locked down,
what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? But you find another way. I mean,
we always have to find another way. I can't tell you how many times. We had to find another way. Hey, you get laid off from your job. Gotta find another way. So it becomes comics and shows. Hey, you built a whole flipping website from the ground up, and now it's really popular, and it has media access, and it gets stolen from you. You gotta find another way. This constantly happens to us. So.
Yeah, this is like that really cliche marketing book, Who Moved the Cheese? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so lame, but it's true. It's like things change. People expect things to be the same all the time. All of the YouTubers that are going to Indiegogo right now and making hundreds of thousands of dollars on comic book campaigns, they had to find another way because all those catty bitches in those secret groups conspired to make sure they could not sell books in stores. They couldn't go to Kickstarter, so they had to go someplace else.
We kind of got shut out on a lot of things because how dare we speak out against it? We didn't know our place. So we're like, F you, you can't tell us what we can think and what we can say.
So other people, we've got, this is a disaster waiting to happen. Again, people are fighting. With the change in the distribution announcement, much if not all the DC Comics has done right in the past is about to be destroyed. Again, they're mad because two of the most successful comic shops out there, because they actually knew how to make money, want to take it upon themselves to distribute comic books for DC because they're already doing it. They're already dealing in volume. The mom and pop shop can't do what Midtown Comics
and Diamond hasn't got your back.
No, Diamond, I'd be pissed. There's another post where guys like, oh, Diamond's, I don't hate Diamond. I'm like, I would be furious, not only as a publisher, but as a shop owner, because I'm like, Diamond abandoned you. The first sign of trouble, like a freaking week into this thing, Diamond is curled up under the table, sucking its thumb. And
then telling the studios, the publishers, they weren't going to give them their money either.
Diamond abandoned comic shops. They abandoned publishers.
Now they're going to deliver now that there's the threat of a competition.
Yeah. They had the luxury of being a monopoly. They could do whatever the hell they wanted to do.
Well, monopoly is not going to last, and they know it now.
I don't have any concerns, issues, or negative thoughts toward Midtown or Discount Comic Book Service, both of which are legit large-scale operations. DC's distribution rollout plan using these two companies appears to be a rush to fix a situation without fully understanding the ramifications. How many decades have they had?
I know. And beyond that, you don't have time to fully understand the ramifications because you're in a crunch right now. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Yeah, so this is coming from William Shanes.
Sorry for saying your name wrong, we're sorry.
Yeah, he's from Pacific Comics. Anyway, it's really interesting. Here, this guy who actually writes for Bleeding Cool, this is Rod Lambert of Rodman Comics, and I've actually read his articles before. He's like, for the first time in a long time, I actually have hope because somebody's trying to do something
different. Yeah. I mean, when I met you long time ago, I was asking questions then. I'm like, you're trying to explain the comic book industry to me, and I'm like, this is effed up and stupid.
It is.
I'm like, how does this even work?
It doesn't. That's the kicker. Like everybody talked about, the elephant in the room has always been that the comic book direct market does not function very well. And now we're seeing it happen. So then the comic book industry, again, to bring it back to Patreon and Kickstarter, right? We've seen the catty bitch attitude in comics.
Oh my God. It's really bad in comics.
Since the beginning. We saw when webcomics started to do well, we had the mainstream comic book people, including, I think, Eric Larson, who now bitches about YouTubers all the time. He is part of Image Comics. And I used to have a lot of respect for him, but his Twitter, I'm like, holy hell. But he was bitching about webcomics being amateur hour.
Oh my God, there's a bunch of people complain about that. And within webcomics, there was a lot of backbiting and stuff. Especially as more and more people came into it, they just treated you like crap if you did any better than they did.
Right. So we had that, and then a lot of those people actually moved on to graphic novels and moved on to like Marvel and DC, which is why we see some of the bullshit we have going on now, because they started out doing webcomics, doing Tumblr stuff.
Well, what's funny is some of the Marvel and DC we saw heading over to Webtoons because, I'm sorry, Webtoons gets mad, but I don't really care because that's what happened. I'm not going to lie, it's because you don't like it.
The way the comic book industry has always worked is first they mock you. They always mock you. They mock crowdfunding. I remember they mocked it fiercely.
Yeah, I remember that too.
And then they had to resort to crowdfunding, like Fantagraphics actually had to resort to crowdfunding. And then they decided, well, hey, this works. Let's take it over.
We can't beat them. We'll run it.
We're gonna run it. We're gonna install one of our people here at Kickstarter. And we saw it with webcomics too, with Webtoon hiring Marvel people. I
love how they kept trying to say it was something else.
And you're going to see a bunch of these people try to move over to YouTube. They're not going to do very well, I don't think, because I think a lot of them just don't have the personalities for it. And YouTube can smell bullshit, a mile away.
YouTube viewers, can smell bullshit a mile away.
So it's going to be really interesting. But this is par for the course. I don't have a solution for you. People are going to be like, what's next then? Because because we were even like, God, if we went to Patreon to bankroll some other projects or whatever.
I didn't want to. That was your idea. No.
But there's no incentive to go there because it's bullshit. Patreon's bullshit. Kickstarter, they've got a lot of rules over there now, and it's kind of bullshit. The diamond system, working for small press publishers, a lot of them, if they don't have a plan B like Alterna, they're probably going to go under because they're not going to be able to survive without diamond.
Well, now they're all like, hey, Alterna, suddenly we want to be your friend.
Oh, that pisses me off. These blogs attacked Alterna for years. And now they're all like, hey, Alterna's got some ideas. And you know what I think the purpose of that is? The purpose of that...
Steal the ideas?
Yeah. Like, hey, everybody.
I've seen it before.
Look at Alterna. Look, right here. Look, it's one of the most popular stories on Bleeding Cool. Hey, everybody, look what Alterna's doing. Steal their business model.
Pretty much.
Steal their business model.
What deals do they have in play? Oh, go try to take those deals away.
Take their people, take their deals, take their distribution.
Take their wives.
Hide your wives. And that's what's going to happen. They're going to come to YouTube. They're going to try to do what Alterna's doing. And I don't know how successful they're going to be. But this has happened in comics so many times. Again, mainstream comic book people tried to get into webcomics, and it was a cluster. But the thing is they jump out of things as quickly as they jump into things. If they're not immediately successful, they jump right out.
But here's the kicker too: they keep doing this, but they don't want to change anything. They'll change the platform, but they won't change what they're trying to sell. Their stories are trying to sell, what they're trying to push, and then it doesn't do well no matter where they go. And then the takeaway for them isn't, well, crap, maybe I should do good stories first. Maybe I should change, maybe how I'm doing these stories. Maybe there's something about the way I'm doing them people don't like. No, it's everybody else is wrong. You're right, and it's just a platform. I'll go to the next one.
Yeah, pretty much. Like locusts, you just move.
Right, but you're going to have the same outcome because you refuse to examine what the actual problem is to fix it.
It is never their fault.
No,
it's
never.
The reader's fault. It's the market's fault. It's the coronavirus's fault.
We did our comic. I'll tell you what we did. We had a built-in kill time frame. Like, we knew if it didn't do well within a year, we were killing it. It was built into it. I wasn't a big fan of it, but it was Neon's idea. And that if we didn't get the views within a year.
Yeah, so this is the thing. And I was thinking about this today because people were asking. I put on Twitter. I put out on Twitter about this article on Bloomberg about YouTubers, and they were basically like, tell your kids not to be YouTubers because statistically it's not possible. Well, we're living proof.
F statistics.
Screw statistics. We've actually done a lot of things that defy the odds. Not to brag, but there is a mindset there. So when we got into webcomics, being a marketing guy, I was basically like, okay, well, we can't throw good money after bad, so we're going to have to be able to be like, either this thing performs within a certain time frame or it doesn't.
And then we would know to change it up to something different because that clearly didn't work.
Right.
But it worked, so we were okay. But had it not worked, we would have been self-aware enough to understand that there was a reason why it didn't work. Let's look at why and not keep repeating the same mistakes. Because if you keep repeating the same mistakes, you're going to get nowhere. I mean, you have to learn what works and doesn't work. And things change as time goes on, too. What works 10 years ago might not work now, and so on. But you have to always look at what's working and what's not. And people just get so up their own asses about how it's their baby, but their baby isn't viable.
Yeah, and that's what's going on. And this brings us to everything wrong with comics right now is the hubris. Like they could not admit error. Mm-hmm. They were slow to adapt, and now the meteorite is taking them out.
And they tried to belittle those who did things differently because they were trying to control them, and it didn't work. So now they're like, oh crap.
Yeah, I actually don't even think. I think 90% of it, I don't even think it's about politics. They keep claiming it's about politics. Having worked in comics, having worked around these people, I don't think it's about politics. I think it's about catty bitches who want to be in charge.
I thought it was going to be about that and being lazy ass writing where you don't have to actually want to do your job.
Yeah.
You just want to, write what you know, and because writing other things are hard. But you said about us getting kicked out. It was so funny because they always say, oh, when God shuts the door, he opens a window or whatever. And so what happened to us was the door would shut and then the window would shut, and then we'd be outside and we're like, F this, and then here we get the chainsaw out, and we just make our own damn doors. So.
There's one of my favorite lines, and it's one of my favorite lines, but I don't remember exactly, from Doctor Who.
I knew you were going to go there.
And I loved it. It was about the 12th Doctor, and it was Missy talking to Claire about the 12th Doctor. Basically, how he always gets out of situations was he always believes he's going to win. He never believes he's going to lose. He always believes he's going to win. And that's kind of the mindset, I think, with us. In some case, we had to always believe, like, there is,
And not that we always win.
No.
But that there's always a way.
There's always another way. Even if there's a freaking crack in the wall, you can get a stick and make it bigger or something. But if you stop trying to find a way out, trying to find another way, then you're absolutely going to just die.
So the reason I brought that up was because the article was basically saying that, tell your kids not to do it because it's a pipe dream. And actually, Squid King was upset today because his one English teacher was telling them, I don't care if he hears it, because he's wrong, telling kids that, there's no point in life. There's no point in dreaming and stuff.
What the hell?
And, like one kid said, well, what? He goes, why would you dare dream? And like, well, maybe you want to be president someday. And he's like, well, statistically speaking, that's not going to happen. Well, it might not happen, but you might come across something else that you love or that you're really good at on the way to that. So, the telling kids that you can't dream is absolutely... I can't even wrap my head around that. To me, that's like, oh my God, how dare you? Well,
you got to point it's another marketing thing, but you got to point your arrow toward the target. You might not hit the target, but if you point down, you're guaranteed to hit the dirt. So anyway, we took a little detour here. The comic book industry is in bad shape. These tools that the comic book industry have been using to prop up its...
I was gonna say these tools. Stop there.
These are not going to work either, so you're going to have to find another way. It's all starting to collapse. And I think, and this isn't, look, I'm not like sitting here like, oh boy, it's comic books dying, but there are going to be significantly... Yeah, there we go.
Are you tired of the bullshit? There you go.
F that. So there are going to be significantly fewer comic book creators, I think, because it's not going to be sustainable to have as many people pumping out as much subpar product as they have been. You're not going to be able to go panhandle for money without having a big audience. You're going to have to really wear a lot of hats and not just be like, oh, I draw good or I write good. No, you're going to have to be a salesperson. You're going to have to be a distribution person. You're going to have to do a lot of different things. 69 retweets.
Fuck that.
69. There we go. All right. So we're going to wrap it up.
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we will talk later.
Sorry, Mom. Bye!
Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.